Okay, with Paul Bearer dying last week, there's a big question as to what the E would do about it. Would they include it in the Punk Undertaker storyline? How would the E respond to it? So the opening, the Undertaker comes down, does the Undertaker thing to the urn. It had a really nice feeling to it. And then CM Punk came down. He wasn't as disrespectful as he could have been. But then, if you had the WWE app, you would have seen Kane chase down CM Punk, set him to the main event match between Kane and CM Punk. They also did lots of little vignettes when it came to discussing Paul Bearer. When he was introduced to become the Undertaker's valet, when he introduced Kane, some of the more bizarre WrestleMania moments. So it was good. It was a nice, good, solid tribute to everything that he's done. Now the matches. Ironically, they did a pretty good job of not doing a lot of wasted space. Except, of course, for one man in particular. So Brodus Clay and Sweet Tea are in the ring. And they're going to take on, Sweet Tea's going to face a man we haven't even seen wrestle yet. Fandango. Because no one can pronounce his name. They just kind of killed time with that. It's kind of aggravating. It's not really even like heelish, it just seems stupid. Lots of the matches, of course, this week were squashes. The New Age Outlaws had this very hyped match against Rhodes Scholars. Rhodes Scholars came out initially and did a nice enlightened version of what you'd hear from the New Age Outlaws. The sad thing was when did the "oh, you didn't know," and that's "oh, you were not made aware." I remember doing that a lot when the New Age Outlaws were popular. I guess now we call them the Middle Age Outlaws. And their match was decent, and then Lesnar comes down and destroys them. Okay, good. Heyman, his mouthpiece, comes out and says that they answer Triple H's challenge by saying this: H has to sign a contract with Brock Lesnar's stipulations entirely in the dark. Good, I like that. That's a nice, good segue, so that way in case it can be a match where if Lesnar wins, H retires. Officially. Which would be a pretty solid way to end it. So that was a good way to continue that storyline. The John Cena Rock continuation. Last week when John Cena was talking about how his obsession with losing the Rock destroyed his life, and my thought was, oh God, you're kidding me. Is John Cena going to blame the fact that his marriage fell apart on the Rock? And yep. The Bellas also returned, which is good because with the division really not doing anything, you might as well bring in people who really didn't do that much for the division anyways. Mark Henry had a match against Kofi Kingston where he just destroyed him. Ryback had a match against Heath Slater where he destroyed him, which then led to a face-off between Mark Henry and Ryback, where they took turns destroying Drew McIntyre. I know people are thinking these two guys are going to have a match. My first thought was, it would be awesome if they became a tag team. A just raw power tag team. It could be interesting. Daniel Bryan took on Dolph Ziggler. Nice match, great back and forth. Dolph Ziggler won thanks to a combination of both Big E and AJ. That's right. Dolph Ziggler won a match. Dolph Ziggler won a match. I don't think he's actually won a one-on-one contest since, TLC last year? It was a very highly competitive match. Cesaro took on Del Rio. They didn't seem to quite sync up as well in the opening couple of minutes, which I'll put them more on Del Rio because I think Cesaro could probably make me look awesome in the ring, and I haven't been in the ring in well over a decade. With Cesaro, of course, Del Rio getting the victory because, Cesaro, he's a mid-card champion. He doesn't win matches anymore. So, to counterbalance that, Swagger had a match with Sin Cara. Initially, Zeb Coulter ran down Sin Cara and all that. it seemed to go on a lot longer than it should have, and it wasn't as effective as it should have been. And the match he had with Sin Cara was all sorts of slop. Which is sad because the match Sin Cara had with Cesaro a while back was a beautiful match. He's taking on Swagger and it's just ugly. Of course, Swagger gets the victory, goes to attack him more, Del Rio makes the save. This match is still a very meh in my book. Seth Rollins took on the Big Show. Yes, Seth Rollins, the smallest member of the Shield, took on the Big Show. This match, of course, ends in a DQ with Big Show winning because the rest of the Shield attacks him. Okay. Triple powerbomb, they take out Big Show. Since the match between the Rhodes Scholars and the New Age Outlaws got stopped due to Brock Lesnar, Rhodes Scholars get to take on the team of Orton and Sheamus. If you listen to it, this will probably be in Botchamania. Orton yells out, "Come on, Sheamu." So the fact that he has a nickname for Sheamus and it's Sheamu seems kind of weird. Nice competitive match, but you could easily tell who was going to win this match. And of course, the team of Orton and Sheamus get the victory. And if you're watching on the app, and if you don't happen to have the app, it's okay. They'll show it the next time they come back from a commercial break. They get attacked by the Shield. So they're hardcore putting up that match where it's going to be the Shield versus Big Show, Sheamus, and Orton at WrestleMania. That match has me interested. Period. That match sounds very intriguing. They did a very, very long segment where Jericho brought The Miz down, talked about The Miz and the Marine 3, which then led Wade Barrett come out to talk about Dead Man Down. I think they had like a half dozen promos for the call, which then led to a match between Miz and Jericho, winner to take on Wade Barrett for the IC Championship. Their match is decent, doesn't really get going anywhere. They end up going outside, Wade Barrett gets involved, and then just double team Wade Barrett. So next week will be a triple threat match. Barrett defending his title against Miz and Jericho. Seeing as how no mid-card champion has really won a match in quite some time, they're being hardcore Ziggler. I expect to probably see Wade Barrett probably pin one of the two of them. I think that Wade Barrett Jericho makes for a nice feud, Jericho having been Wade Barrett's NXT mentor. If you were going to feud with The Miz, it would seem weird because then who does Cesaro feud with? Oh, there were some pretty decent matches. You know, the Fandango part is really getting on my nerves. And the Divas match wasn't even there. Pretty much you saw the Bella Twins and the bizarre moment with Caitlyn talking with Cody Rhodes and Cody offering her a bottle of water. And the match between CM Punk and Kane, nice match, really solid. This one of course happens at as Raw is going into overtime, as they put it. It's weird in a 3-hour Raw you still go over. But, nice match, good back and forth, it's no DQ. So a solid match, you know Kane's going to win. Undertaker's gong hits, Punk gets distracted, choke slam, 1, 2, 3, Kane wins. So you've got Kane in the ring, Undertaker on the outside, they both do the I guess the kneel for the urn movement. Nice fitting ending. Punk then grabs the urn, attacks Kane, leaves before Taker gets in the ring, and now leaves with the urn and mocks the Undertaker doing the kneeling urn move. That I kind of like it. Interesting to see what Punk's going to do with the urn. So I like how they did a good job progressing the Lesnar Triple H match, which they need to have a match with blood. I know Mania is this huge thing. If they do blood, they'll get all sorts of, groups will go nuts. These two can have a match that should have a level of brutality that is necessary for this. Last year, the Hell in a Cell with Taker and H, even if it would have had, a bust open the hard way, and just a little bit, Doesn't need to be gushing blood, but that little bit, that trickle to run down the face, to give it that little extra oomph, that little extra enhancement. That's what that match really needs. John Cena, Rock. The Rock is still up in the air if he'll have a match at Extreme Rules. If he does, he might defeat John Cena. If not, the super uplifting John Cena promos lead me to believe that he's going to defeat The Rock. More than likely, CM Punk is going to lose to The Undertaker. And Jack Swagger, we the people, probably will not win the championship from Del Rio. So currently, what they're doing with WrestleMania seems very, very predictable. With the exception of the Triple H Lesnar match. Depending on what the stipulations end up being, if Lesnar wins and he retires H, that could be helpful, knowing they signed Lesnar to a larger contract. Or it could be, if Lesnar wins, H retires, and Lesnar gets a shot at the title. If they do that, that could make for some really interesting matches. We'll say The Rock wins at WrestleMania. It's then Rock, Brock Lesnar, Extreme Rules, Lesnar wins, and then puts The Rock on the shelf for a while. That way then The Rock comes back for WrestleMania 30, he can challenge Brock Lesnar, and it should be a pretty decent match. It also allows this second in a lifetime match to have John Cena lose again, which will then put him again the upper mid-card area as opposed to giving him the championship again. And making him like, a 12-time champion?